I broke my back and became disabled, but my mom refuses to let me use mobility aids because she's obsessed with fixing me, signing me up for treatments I don't want, then comparing me to Paralympic athletes, so now we're in family therapy because denial hits different when it's medical abuse. Posted by u/Lash of the Lambs 13. Background post. My mother, 54, recently had a minor medical procedure done, nothing invasive, but she did require stitches afterwards. She decided to get the procedure done while she was on family responsibility leave due to the fact that I, 16F, was going for a major surgery to my hip, which, fair enough, I understand the logic behind that. However, this is where the story actually starts. 4 days after her procedure, I was 5 days post-op at this stage, she demanded that I take out her stitches because they were bothering her. I told her no, that the stitches were not ready to come out yet, and that the wound had not healed enough. I have no formal medical training, but as someone who's had stitches and staples a lot myself, I could tell. Also, her stitches were in a place that would require me to kneel to remove them, and keep in mind, I was 5 days post-op after major hip surgery, so I physically wasn't able to do that. I also told her I was uncomfortable removing her stitches because we only had a pair of nail clippers and a tweezer, and nowhere we could safely do it. So, fast forward one day, she begrudgingly listened to me for the time being, and I thought that it meant the end of it. It was not. The next morning, I am 6 days post-op now, the stitches have been in for 5 days, around 10 a.m. I'm woken up by my mother screaming for me. Naturally, I rush to my parents' bathroom where she was calling me from. I walk in, and my mother has ripped her stitches out with a pair of nail clippers and is bleeding. The thread from the stitches is still in her, but the wounds were ripped open. She immediately demands that I fix this situation, which, yeah, okay, I totally get. I immediately start on doing that, grabbing something to stop the bleeding and carefully removing the torn stitches with tweezers. This naturally required that I force myself to kneel to do so and caused me severe pain, and my own wound started bleeding again too because, well, I was also supposed to be on bed rest. So when I finish, I get back up, and this might be an overreaction from me, I don't know, but I blow up at her. I tell her that I told her not to try take her own stitches out, I tell her that I explicitly warned her they were not ready to come out. I mean, I was angry. She disregarded everything I said to her, refused to accept my answer when I told her no, and forced me to kneel down in front of her and hurt myself because she couldn't handle having stitches for another day. Never mind that I had a wound in my hip that went down to the bone, never mind that I had staples spanning across my entire hip, she wanted her stitches out, so I had to take them out because it was the least I could do after she gave birth to me. I don't know if this truly belongs on here, but that felt kind of entitled to me. Relevant comment. Commenter 1, oh boy, she has issues. Not only could she have applied direct pressure to wherever the incision was, but she decided to go the most traumatic route versus putting some Benadryl cream around the stitches to stop the irritation. I hope you went in to get seen after your wound started bleeding. Op's response, I did not, but I did call my doctor and she said that it was fine. Unless the staples bent, I could just change the bandage and ice the wound, which I did, and, actually use some wound cream. Original post. I, 17F, broke my back just over 2 years ago. My spinal cord suffered severe damage, and it has left me physically disabled. I can stand on my own and walk short distances, but doing so often puts me in excruciating pain. Over the last 2 years, I have had 3 surgeries to try repair the damage, and while they have lessened pain in some areas, the full injury cannot be repaired. My mother, 55F, refuses to accept this, and over the last 2 years has pushed me into more and more treatments even if I didn't want them, claiming every time that this would be the one that cured me. Both I and my father have tried to tell her that the nerve damage is permanent, and that the best course of action is to simply try preserve my back so I retain mobility as I get older, which is what 3 separate doctors have advised. My mother won't listen to us, she's become obsessed with trying to fix me, and get me back to my old self. She keeps signing me up for treatments and programs without asking, or after I've already said no. These treatments are usually exercise-based or based on holistic treatment and natural remedies, or even still experimental procedures, and most of them have only ever left me sore if not injured. She also refuses to let me have any accommodations, I can't use a cane, wheelchair, or anything else around her, and often refuses to let me sit or lay down when I'm in pain. Over the last year and a half, my condition has been deteriorating, but my mother acts like she hasn't noticed, just keeps booking my usual doctor's appointments. Now it's gotten to the point where she insists on being in the doctor's office with me because she believes that I won't give reliable information about my symptoms if I go in alone. Tonight, I just couldn't take it anymore and broke down crying, telling her to stop trying to fix me and just help. I begged her to just stop pushing me, to just try to accept that I'm not able-bodied anymore, but she wasn't having it. She told me that if Paralympic athletes could do it, so could I, that I had to stop making excuses, and that she only wanted what is best for me. I understand that denial is part of the grieving process, but I've already accepted it, and I just don't know what to do anymore. I've tried to be understanding, but she's really driving me to the end of my rope. So, am I the jerk for snapping at her? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. This seems like medical abuse. She won't let you use a cane or wheelchair? That's insane. Op, you deserve so much better. Op's response, thanks, I'm technically allowed to use my cane, just not in the house. And I unfortunately am not allowed to own a wheelchair. I borrow one from my grandparents when I stay there or with other relatives, though I have asked her for one several times. And yeah, I really don't feel like I'm giving up, I just feel like I'm trying to accommodate and look out for future me, you know? Commenter 2, NTA. Your dad needs to step up and tell your mom to knock it off. He needs to either make her listen or make her back off and leave you alone, rather than just throwing up his hands and saying, "Velp, I tried." No, he needs to say you are hurting our child because you refuse to accept the advice of 3 different doctors. This stops now. Op needs to be accommodated for their injuries and allowed to use assistive devices and lay down when they hurt. Op's response, my dad is trying, they've gotten into a lot of arguments about it, and he's even refused to take me to treatments she scheduled because I didn't want to go. The problem is just that my mom won't listen, and aside from removing me from the house for short periods, there isn't much he can do. He's gotten me accommodations behind my mom's back, but we don't have all that many options. Commenter 3, NTA. I'd ask my dad to get a divorce, so you can have peace. Op's response, he can't unfortunately, my father is dependent on her too and can't physically take care of himself either, he also has a severe spinal cord injury, so even if that did happen, he wouldn't be able to care for himself, never mind me. Commenter 4, talk to a trusted adult at your school. Seriously. This is horrifying. Op's response, I'm homeschooled, I don't have the physical capability to attend regular school, so I do it online, and I was homeschooled since way before the accident. Messaging teachers personally is against school policy, so I unfortunately can't do that. Commenter 5, do you have a Lions Club nearby? They have free wheelchairs. Op's response, I don't know what that is. I don't know if they exist here. I'm South African. Commenter 6, did your mom have something to do with your injury? Is she being this way because of some sort of guilt? Op's response, no, she wasn't even there when the accident happened. I was thrown off a horse, so there really wasn't anyone else involved. And no, it was a riding school horse. I led classes there. She didn't have anything to do with the injury, but I feel like she might be carrying some sort of guilt because she wasn't there when it happened. I'm really not sure. My other theory is her own internalized ableism. Commenter 7, denying you your mobility aids is medical abuse. Yes. Abuse. You have every right to your prescribed mobility aids. Op's response, the problem is I don't have a prescription, I've had to buy all the ones I have myself because my mother shuts me down every time I try to talk to a doctor about needing aids or assistance in any way. She just says that she'll provide it and changes the topic. I've never been able to talk about the full extent of my symptoms with a doctor without her interrupting me and saying I'm being dramatic. And I've found most doctors don't bother to read the full injury report, so I'm stuck. Commenter 8, I will bet you that the mom is resentful because now she has 2 people to take care of. She's probably burnt out. Op's response, I never considered that before, thank you. That makes a lot of sense, I'll talk to her about it, maybe we can figure something out. Commenter 9, did you used to help your mom take care of your dad? I don't particularly think that she's being fair to you, but I think that there might be some underlying feelings on her part. I'm not sure she'll admit it to you, though. Op's response, no, he was able to take care of himself before my injury. But after my accident, his condition started deteriorating. Update, 3 days later. So, I talked with my mother and showed her some of the comments. She agreed that we could go to family therapy, and I am now allowed to use a cane and walker inside the house. We've also compromised that I could talk to doctors on my own for most of the appointment, then she could just come in the last few minutes, and have the doctor give her a rundown. I've finally been able to explain the full extent of my symptoms to a doctor, and I have tests scheduled for later today that'll confirm my diagnosis. Any additional advice would be welcome and appreciated, and also thank you to all the wonderful people for your understanding and insights. Relevant comment. Commenter 1, info, what do you mean by saying you have tests scheduled that will confirm your diagnosis? This whole time you've been stating you have a known diagnosis and prognosis. Op's response, I have several known diagnoses and prognoses, I'm referring specifically to ones that will on paper confirm the severity of my nerve damage, because while I've had doctors verbally confirm it, and I have prescribed medication to do with it, the actual level of damage wasn't on paper anywhere before because my mother wouldn't let me ask for it, since she doesn't believe I have it.